Hi, I'm Cade,
And I'm Kit,
and we're real people.
doing real reviews. Tonight we are doing Immaculate. And so, based off of Cade's amazing suggestion for our kickoff to season 2, we will be rating the top 13 horror movies from 2024. And we're starting with Immaculate. Do you want to give a little backstory on it?
For sure. So real fast, if you like what we are telling you about this movie, you can find this movie on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
So already at home, as we are here.
Yeah, right there. That we just finished watching it on the sofa with some popcorn. So,
Yes. So backstory, this is from a book.
Yeah, it's an adaptation.
And a what?
Adaptation.
Adaptation.
From a book.
From a book. And the premise of the movie basically is a classic story about church and science.
Church and science themes.
And kind of going through it.
Yeah. I mean, we just watched it, so you're seeing us fresh. So the thing with why I think adaptations are important is because, of course, we love seeing original ideas. We love original screenplays that get brought to the theater, that it's something that we've never read or seen before. I think that's awesome. But when you love a book or you think a book is really interesting, which is, we could plug a few, names here, like, I don't know, Stephen King. He's not on this one, but pretty clear that we love seeing those types of movies because we have a picture in our mind of what it might be. It's so interesting to see a production team and a director bring something together. Amazing casting on this. Very, very focused on the lead actress, and she couldn't have been a better choice. Just a tremendous job. And it is a story that follows, yes, it's church, it is church and science, and kind of those are the themes that are discussed, but it's also the conversation of a girl that is moving from one area to a whole new area in the world. So she's coming from America to going over to Italy to be a nun. And what happens to her when she is almost isolated in this space where she is becoming a nun, trying to discover what her purpose is here on Earth.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say also too, just like the jump scares from the very beginning.
Right off the hop. Yeah. Something's going on at this place where convent.
Yes.
It's interesting because they set the author, I guess I'll set it up that way. The author describes it as this convent is based around helping nuns when they are in their final, it's kind of like a hospice in their final stages of life. And so you open up to her arriving, of course, in Italy, people being kind of curious with this beautiful American that's coming to Italy to go be a nun. And she goes and she's being brought through this gorgeous, beautiful convent, absolutely stunning. And then we're meeting, nuns in their final stages. So some of them have dementia, some of them not sure where they are. So it throws you a little bit, but you can see why, because she's in a space where she's living and praying and kind of living on her lifestyle. And her daily task will be to take care of some of these hospice people. But that, of course, right away, you're like, well, there's deranged kind of people that are out of their mind that are living here. So then you would justify some weird, strange, creepy sounds, things that you would see because you're seeing that right off the hop. So I thought that was really clever.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it too, just the just some of the scenes, like the nun praying on the floor, but her face is covered. You kind of see them throughout, but it doesn't really even explain why or them. Lots of barbaric things happen too throughout the whole movie. So some very gross gore scenes
they weren't
sprinkled in there.
They weren't shy with torture. Not shy showing kind of medieval torture aspects or maybe traditional torture aspects. The interesting thing too about utilizing a space like this is that she takes her vow, which is, poverty, chastity, and what's the other vow? Life of service, something like that. Oh, I should have memorized that. But blasphemous. But She does the vow. And so right away you're like, oh, because of poverty, because of these things, it's like they're lighting everything with candles and you're not seeing any technology. And so really they set up the stage for this to be very timeless as a movie because you're not seeing technology and they're using medieval forms of, how they keep people on their straight and narrow. So I think it'll age well.
I think so too, actually, now that you say that, because she does say that she's like from Detroit and comes here, but like everything's very classic. Even the car scene, it's like an older kind of car.
Yeah.
But there's really no technology, no sort of...
Nope, just prayer and chores.
Yeah.
And
chickens.
And, well...
and some chickens.
That's what they eat, those chickens. So you have to behead the chickens, obviously. Okay, so the girl arrives. Then she has kind of like her opening ceremony. They welcome her in. And she starts like kind of right away kind of feeling woozy and sick. And she's not quite sure what's happening. And then she finds out that she is pregnant. Which it is established very clearly through, making sure as she comes into that she has never had relations with man or a woman. She's very clear. Yeah. And the doctor's like, I checked the hymen, it's good. Like she's not lying. And then here she is pregnant. And so everyone's basically worshiping her like Mary. And they're like, this is this miracle. And she's like, is she? Okay, a miracle. I just arrived. Interesting. I don't really feel like a miracle. And then it evolves where she's starting to notice that there's some jealousy towards her, or that there's some strange things that are happening, or it looks like some of the older nuns know something that's going on. Then as the pregnancy, she's in second trimester, they label the trimesters. She's getting quite sick, like very brittle, like her nails are really brittle and coming out. She's throwing up her teeth, like she's very, very ill. And she asked to go to another hospital because she's like, I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
And well, they won't let her.
They say no. Yeah. Oddly enough, I thought in the midst of all of this, there's this older lady that has dementia, or you assume she has dementia. Like I thought she was going to play a bigger like protective role because she starts out kind of in that kind of space with her.
Yeah.
And a very creepy, like,
you're so beautiful and this is going to be so good and what a blessing.
And then she took her hair.
Yeah. And then made it into a little doll and then gifted it to her.
Right.
And you're like, well, here we are.
And then at that point, it's kind of a turning scene where she's like, we need to get out of here. And even that nun says, you cannot leave.
No, you need to be here with the Savior that's in your stomach. So she makes a friend, and the friend is like, so a girl that was jealous attacks her. And then the next day we find that she has committed suicide off a balcony, but parts of her like skin has been cut off and is missing. And so the friend is like, walking up the stairs and she witnesses the suicide. And then she's walking up the stairs, she's looking at her pregnant friend and she's like, hey, this is weird. We don't know how she's pregnant. This person's committed suicide. You guys are just going to pretend like everything's not okay. And they take her and they torture her and she sees the torture, the pregnant gal or the girl that is the lead actress. And that's when we think, oh, like this older nun that he's described is going to save her from this. And no. And then third trimester comes.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to fake that I'm injured. And so she finds a way to fake that she's injured with one of the chickens and some blood. And she's like, I'm going to get out. She tries to run away. And then they brand the bottom of her feet with crosses so she can't run away. And she doesn't get away with it. And it's seeming really bad. And then and then in that scene is like basically when the priest basically unfolds or tells the story of like they've genetically found the DNA of Christ on a nail,
on the nail that was through his hand. So they're trying to basically birth him, reincarnate.
Yep. The priest used to be a science major, and then he's a priest, and he's like, you know what I'm going to do is get the DNA off of this nail, and I'm going to make the new Jesus. I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in these nuns. It's going to be awesome.
So that in that scene, then you really learn that like they've been trying for quite some time because they have all of these jars of like
fetuses that didn't happen.
Just blubber and parts.
Mm-hmm.
And that they've done this to like several girls, and like the one success is in her currently. So a very kind of cool scene from that standpoint. But then I think that kind of backfires because she finally realizes that like, wait,
all of this is nonsense.
And yeah.
I'm not crazy. And this is how this happened to me. It was that however I was drugged and this got put in me. And then here we are. And so it was nice because that wasn't a question mark the whole movie. That wasn't like the reveal of the movie. It was like a midway point where things actually escalate after that, where she's like some trying to run away. It's rented.
Well, I think like the pivotal point for me was when she was in confession, and he's like, well, she says, this isn't holy, or this isn't right. And then the priest says, well,
if it's not God's will,
why isn't he stopping it? And then like, I think her mind shifts and she's like, well, I'm going to stop it, because the whole movie she's like, I'm being called to do something. And the priest is like, oh, this is your duty. And she's like, nope, sure isn't.
This was your will, not mine. So yeah, that was really good seeing. The shots that are taken in this movie, my gosh, like the coloring and the shots, although that's like a big standpoint of what we typically talk about, but it was visually actually very stunning. They just
very pretty.
Yeah, really, really captivating. You're very interested on, even when she's doing simple things like walking through the courtyard, they made that very interesting. The use of like everything being very uniform, of course, with being nuns, everything's like a very simple layout, but really, really beautiful. There was a few scenes that I kept being like, I feel like that's a nod to Suspiria or a nod to another movie. I was like, that has like some of those like tones where they're like alone in Italy, like nods to other Italian horror. Anyways, I noticed that. There's a couple of scenes too where it's like the gloves. So it's kind of like a giallo, like gloves and like what's happening, like who done it kind of moments too. And then at the end, they're showcasing things that are kind of traditionally Italian or French as well, where they're talking about like the catacombs and the tunnels that are underneath and things that are very like, again, traditional kind of things that about the cultures there. And then they use it for like her trying to escape near the end. And that, of course, really creepy and visually gorgeous. And also where people could disappear. Like some of these girls that had the failed pregnancies had just disappeared and ended up in unmarked graves, half buried alive, and all kinds of crazy things. She finds her friend in one of them and she's like, oh, well, there that is. And so just thought they did a good job of being like, again, you feel like, yeah, that would happen. Like you believe that would happen. And she's doing her very best to escape, but there isn't an escape because there's always another way to like hide a person.
Yeah. Also, when she was trying to escape, there was that bit of humor where her water breaks and she's just like, really? Like, I'm just escaping and like now I have to deal with this too. And you're like, you know what I mean?
It builds the tension though, because you're like, oh my gosh, she's trying to be quiet and she's like in full labor, you know, and she's trying to be, like kind of silent about it and just being chased with somebody with a light, like a flashlight. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, what if she has a big contraction? Like, what if this? What if that?
Yeah. And like, even just trying to be silent. I feel like in those moments too, I was holding my breath, like, don't get caught.
don't. And then she like finds her dead friend, screams instead of like it being a contraction. So that was cool. It was like an interesting, take on how to do a jump scare. And then, so she gets near the end.
Yeah. So there's again more classic horror gore towards the end, and then
some good effects people on that movie. Shout out to the effects team. Nice practical effects, really good.
Yeah,
gross.
Very gross.
We're both like, oh, okay, we're watching, but like, oh. Okay.
So then there's a glimmer of hope at the end. She's down in the catacombs. She sees daylight, and
she's gonna get out.
She runs for it, and then she gets caught. Which I think I said, oh no, they're going to pull her back. They're going to pull her back.
And then they did. And you were still like, and there was because near the end when she is kind of escaping, she's just murdering everyone. And you're kind of like, love this for her. She's killing everyone that has been putting her through this. Like, you go, get him. And then you think one of the guy that's like dragging her over the thing, you thought that he died maybe in this like, because she lit the whole laboratory that was, you know, making all the genetic mutations that they were implanting into these nuns on fire. And you're like, oh, he's not going to make it out. Then you hear the fire extinguisher inside, and you're like, damn it. There's some modern technology. I forgot about that. And then, so he grabs it. Anyways, I thought that was really good too. But she does crawl through the light. She's out. She's so, like, she's just been, you know, attacked. And she starts to give birth, like fully giving birth. Yes. Like she is.
That was a really good scene from her. Like close up, just her face. And she's like,
it is. I have
yelling. Because it's as her giving birth. Yeah. It was very believable.
It's a very realistic yell. And you know how in movies, you know when it's trash and they're like on their back and their knees are up here and you're like, do we even do that in hospitals anymore? Nobody should be giving birth like that. She's like standing, you know, kind of half squatting, and she's making not like that high pitched screaming where you're like shrieking, which is what, again, I always hear that in hospital scenes and I'm like, no woman shrieks. You're like more like visceral and like, like when you're like a really tough set at a workout, almost like, and so she's like that. And like, when we see the cameras on her face, we're like, hello, like, hello, like, right. And you're still like, she is going through, like, her eyes, tremendous acting, like, brava to her. Just, that is not.
It was a very long scene. Like, it wasn't like, just pushed it out.
No,
it was
real. The real amount of time that it would take for a baby to leave the birth canal, for sure.
What did you think about her chewing up the cord?
So this is where I feel like the FX team could have done a little something, because too quick. The blood runs through to the baby for like a minute, 2 minutes. Lots of times people leave it for like 10, like, you know, leaving that so the placenta can fully drain. So it's usually still quite pink. She picks it up, it's quite gray and blue. And I'm like, but I guess it could be a creature because it's kind of a creature.
We don't really know.
According to the book, we're not quite sure what's going on. And of course, this is all very like genetically, you know, strange that's been put together. Strange. So for her, like, kind of, she chews through the umbilical cord herself, which means that the placenta's still inside her. She has this in. She's chewed this. You can hear baby sounds. We don't see it.
Yeah.
We see like a little movement in the distance. She goes and she picks up a rock.
She does the classic horror, like, we are going to kill something with a big old rock.
Yeah.
Like, this is my choice.
Yeah. And you're like, she hasn't even looked at it yet. Like, is she going to do it? Are you?
Yeah.
I have to watch it to find out what she does.
Yeah.
But really, really good job. I mean, I know.
No?
I think that here's it. Well,
we were kind of grossed out.
We were.
It's pretty gross at the end.
It's a choice. Like, I needed a minute. I was nauseous. I was a bit nauseous, right? I was like, I don't want to record that right away. Let's take a minute to splash some water on my face. She makes a choice. Anyways, so.
I do like that it ends so abruptly. Like, because it took a long time to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of leaves you like,
is she okay?
Yeah, like what happens next? Does she actually get away? Like the scene, she's like just in the middle of nowhere, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're like, she's, you know, bleeding.
Did she get out?
She's been,
So like, very
continued in your mind.
To be continued.
Yeah.
So
what would you say was like the biggest takeaway from like seeing everything, you know, if you were to watch, like looking at everything, would you be like, outside of the themes that you're like, it's interesting that the filmmaker chose this, you know, adaptation because of this? Like, is there anything that's like a standout for you?
Stand out in that sense. Well, I think two kind of things that I thought were odd in the storyline was in the beginning, she has like a book of Italian, but most of the movies she doesn't
even try.
which I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, there could have been more. Like, they tried to carry it along, but it was certainly more English kind of focused. So I think for me, I think it would have been even scarier if it was more Italian in the movie. And then the second part that I thought was odd was it almost was like it just shows briefly some like ghosts or beings that just show up and then kind of disappear that are odd, but then also the nuns with the red covered on their faces like they were in like a cult or something. Like it doesn't really explain that either. And
it might be something where it's like known to people who know about cults, like maybe they would know, but for us as a viewer being like, how come those nuns have red cloth over their face? Hope they're okay. Like we don't know, right? And so, but I'm maybe it's something where it's like a wink or a nod or like a tribute to something that's darker that we don't know about. But it would have been interesting. Yeah, it was better unpacked, I think.
I think maybe even just to do it full circle was maybe at the end, like when she kills the priest and he's watching all of the nuns sing like at nighttime down below. If they were all like the red faced, you know what I mean? At the end where it's kind of like this culty like song.
Yeah. They could have used it or explained it.
Visually. It a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But those were the only two things call outs for me.
Yeah, that was kind of what would I say?
Yeah.
I think so. What I think stood out to me the most was the friend kind of freaking out and being like, hey, this is weird. Because like nuns are not like this person that is so broken that they have no brain. That's not what's happening. And so I think assuming intelligence in this group of people is better. And because the reason why we're kind of not asking a lot of questions in the beginning is because we're like, well, half of these women are in hospice and like losing it. Then there's a few people that are taking care of them. Now we have some new recruits or new nuns that are being sworn in, but they're like fresh from living in like Michigan. Do you know what I mean? Like they're fresh from, so they would be thinking like a modern woman. And so that scene to me was so believable. And the fact that she gets dragged off and then obviously, like I said, like tortured and this other girl like finds it. But to me, I'm like, if you were a nun and you believed this, like maybe it's known that they implant these girls and that you're like a part of this like thing, then almost it would be more manipulative, right? They wouldn't be acting like, nothing that they know about, nothing that they see. We even see signs of other nuns that are branded, other nuns that have seen things that know what's happening there. So I feel like there would be more manipulation to make that girl feel happy, safe, and good. So for instance, there's a scene at the doctor's office where she's like, I want to see another doctor. Like, this is one doctor. Like, I'm 5 months pregnant. Like, I'm not doing well. Like, and they're like, the hospitals aren't that sick. Like, this doctor delivers babies from this day till this day, blah, blah, blah. But it's like these same two people that she doesn't trust. What would have made that more believable is if some of her girlfriends that are there, that have been her friends from the beginning, that were like welcoming her around, were like, listen, you don't know Italy. Like, it's gross. Like,
oh yeah.
Then you would have been like, oh, this really is the best choice. Like, it's cleaner here. I get one-on-one attention. Like, oh, okay. And they're like, we could like bring you, but like legit, you'll come back with the flu. Like, it's gross there. And then something like that, where it would have been more, because women are intelligent. So I would presume intelligence, especially because this girl's like, I feel really good about being here and I don't understand the language, but you still understand your instincts and yourself and who you are. And, you're very hopeful to get along there, but you're also still of the mindset. So I think I would have presumed more intelligence. I think so I liked that scene where the friend was like, hey, what?
Yeah.
And then they get drug off and then no one chases after, just the one friend being like, oh, like she's getting drug off because she's speaking out of line.
Right.
And then we don't ever see her again. She's not at the table. She's not at dinner. She's not like, I was reprimanded and I have like a little, like a strap mark or something that would make sense. It's like, oh, we just don't see her now.
Yeah.
What? And so is it known that it's murder? Or is it known that she got kicked out and she can't be with us anymore? But then there'd be a scene about that too. Hey, your friend, we're not letting people that speak out of line stay here. So she's left and she didn't get a chance to say goodbye. That, again, more explanation, more believable. okay, instead of like two men drag off a young girl screaming, no one reacts, all of these women, that's not what would happen.
Well, it's also odd now that you say that is in the beginning, it says that like they have to work really hard. Mm-hmm. But actually the full movie, we don't really see any of them.
Just doing some laundry.
Yeah, not like
scrubbing like floors.
They're having like a good time. Like it's like happy and light.
They did the nursing stuff where they're talking about feces. And so like maybe that's the hard work is like taking care of these aging women. But it's a very small clip.
It is a very small clip in the beginning.
Yeah.
It feels very like Handmaid's Tale. Kind of, you know what I mean? But I see where like it'd probably be better if there was more smart, like everyone was a bit more involved. Like that one girl that tries to kill her.
Yeah.
Knew. And then they whisked her away.
Yeah. And then
but like
suicide.
Yeah. But I feel like some other people, you are right. It would have been more believable where
if she had taken
like a little more mind game for her, because it was a very much like she knew right and wrong, but like didn't really doubt herself the whole movie.
Yeah. And what would because
twisted?
I mean, I
twisted cat.
I would have been darker. Because here's I don't know if you guys do this too, or you kind of picture yourself in those scenarios. Like, so for instance, in the opening scene, they're showing a nun gets buried alive, and in my head, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't do it like that. I would do it like this way, and this is how I would try to get out. Because this is so. When I think of like my younger self, my 16-year-old self, and let's say I went through something traumatic, which she'd kind of fallen through the ice, and they, she felt like God maybe saved her because she had almost died, and she wanted to dedicate her life to God. So here she is, like wanting to be this lovely, good human, wholesome human. And so I'm like, okay, if that were me and I was in Italy, that doesn't mean that I wouldn't understand. And she's from like what, the Bronx? Where was she from? Brooklyn? Like she was from somewhere. She's like from America. So I wouldn't be like, oh, now that I'm in Italy, I know nothing about how people manipulate each other. Like what?
Yeah.
You absolutely would know that. You would have seen multiple scenarios on why. Like, and she's also very kind of disconcerted that like this new like place is like reached out to me and is letting me come here. I'm very grateful, but it is a bit strange because I guess it's far. It's like, yeah, you're super far. You're in like a rural area in Italy with no phones, no nothing. You got candles for light. Like, yeah, I'd be a little like, hey, I feel a little nervous.
Yeah. Yeah.
My spidey senses are up and I'm seeing strange things. And I understand that some people are strange here because they're dying, but like, I'm still a normal human on planet Earth. So that's why I think that it would take more to break somebody. Because even if all of a sudden it is Immaculate Conception and she's like being she's interrogated, things like that, and you're really believing that and you're being celebrated and you're like, I don't know if I even like this or want this. Like,
she was also sad in that scene after she finds out. And they've like put her on the pedestal and she has that tear. So she's not even happy. But I feel like in the beginning she
wants a calling.
Yeah.
So here's your calling. And then she's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Now I'm the saddest panda at the zoo.
Because she was sad from the beginning, basically. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's just coming from just in the future.
I can't relate to having a baby, so.
I've had two.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Highly recommend. For those who want to have babies. It's great. But I also like, I think that is important because even if you're going through the stages of like, let's remove like pregnancy, conception, childbirth, all of those like hormones that would be at play, even with that, you still have like a brain though.
Yeah.
Like you still know something's up and weird. And so, and your spidey senses would be like, yeah. And they're like, you can't work because you have to take care of like the baby, just your whole job's baby. Well, then wouldn't you be like, great, packing picnics and going sitting by yourself by a tree and creating some beautiful memories for yourself and being like, well, this is what I'm going to do. And that should be encouraged. It should be encouraged for me to go into town and get some gelato and like enjoy it. But I'm not encouraged to leave.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I'm supposed to just take care of baby. Well, shouldn't I tell my people from back home?
Yeah. I mean, I think for the length of the movie, I think they did a
good job.
a good job to get you through the story. Like,
yeah.
Because there was a lot of storytelling, spoken and unspoken, that we had to get through to get there. I mean, like we went through 9 months.
We sure did.
Basically like 10 months.
Yeah. So, this
quite fast.
this is number 13. Obviously we're doing 13, but this is number 13 on Variety. Like this movie really made it when it came to being in the top 20. And so what would you rate it? Kind of out of 10?
Out of 10, I am going to go with a conservative 6.5.
Oh, a 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. Because it had some gore, jump, scare factor, but I think, like you said, we do like a little psychological thriller moments, and that's where it was lacking.
Yeah, I felt like too simple. I'd give it a 7 because I'm going to give it extra points for being just so visually
beautiful
there.
Yeah,
it really was there cinematically, and so I want to give it that for sure.
I mean, there she is.
Yeah, right. Fair. Yeah, so that's our very first review for season 2.
Season 2,
oh my gosh, so great. So thank you so much, all of you, for watching. If you liked it, give us a review ourselves. You can, wherever you found us, give us 5 stars or whatever you want to rate us. We understand. All people, critics understand. But rate us, review us, follow us. Means a lot to us. And we're Cade and Kit. You can sit with us.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Bye, guys.